Hello and welcome to today's webinar. We're going to have a great training session. We're going to cover personalization and customization. I have Thonthery Johnson, Community Manager for QuestionPro, joining me today, or rather I'm joining her, and we're going to co-host this special free training session today. So we're very excited about it. Let me just give you a quick rundown of kind of what to expect, a few housekeeping items to start us out, and a few reminders for you. So you'll see our big video mugs on the screen. You can, once we share the screen, you can adjust how much of your screen is video versus how much of it is the actual screen sharing. So you'll just have a little horizontal bar that you can drag back and forth if you want to make us smaller. So feel free to do that so you can see more of the content. We're going to be doing a lot of screen sharing today, so definitely keep that in mind. We're going to make the recording available after the webinar, so you'll be able to follow up. We're going to cover a lot today in a short amount of time, so you definitely want to look at that recording if you have any questions. And then there's a Q&A module inside GoToWebinar, and so use that. Please use that. Riddle us with questions. We want to make sure we get everything answered. We'll get to as many of them as we can, and then we'll follow up afterwards on any we're not able to cover during today's webinar. So please use that functionality as much as possible. You can send questions in at any time. We will have a couple of pauses for questions throughout, but we'll also just add them in as we go. So let's talk about the agenda for today a little bit. We got a lot to cover. We're going to go over best practices to make sure that we have everybody on the same page as far as the do's and don'ts of personalization and customization. We don't want to under or overdo it, so we'll cover that. And then we'll start with personalizing your survey. We'll talk about ways, once you have the foundation of your survey completed with your questions and your answer options dialed in, we'll talk about how you can personalize that survey using customer custom variables, and then we'll also talk about logic, the options that you have for adding logic to your surveys to personalize it even further. And we'll look at a couple of survey examples with personalizing, and then we'll take it to a new level with customizing your survey now, adding branding components to really dial in the look and feel of that to best represent your brand, and we have a few levels of that we'll talk about as well. So we're going to cover a lot. Send questions in anytime you want. Thanks, George. Hello from Milwaukee. Hello, George from Seattle. Welcome today, and I'm going to introduce Thonthery Johnson. We're going to jump right in.
All right. Shall we get started with some best practices?
Yeah, let's do this. We have a lot to cover today, so let's dive in.
We do, and I'm excited because we've been working on this for a while, and I'm really excited about all the content that we have to show.
Absolutely.
So, survey design best practices. If you've joined us before, you know that I like to talk research best practices, but this felt different. This felt more like a survey design thing when we're talking about personalizing and customizing a survey. So let's look at some of those survey design elements.
That's great.
First thing, man, we got to do content first.
Right.
I don't know about you, James. I have been in situations where someone is so focused on what something is going to look like that they forget to pay attention to what the actual content has. And you don't want to fall into that scenario. So content first. Make sure you have your purpose of your survey. Make sure you know who your audience is going to be, how you're going to get the survey to your audience, and make sure that you have an idea of where and how you are going to use personalization.
Right, great. So we want to make sure that we can crawl before we walk.
Absolutely. Yeah. You want to make sure the basic functionality is working before you totally go out and show the world what you've got.
Right.
Next, after you've gotten your content, then you can do the personalization. So when we talk personalization, we're talking about using their first name if you have it. Using maybe in a sales event, you might be gathering some information about their purchase history, and so you can include that information as well. Have a non-personalized option available, especially if you're going on social media, because you don't want to have your personalized option that has all your custom variable callouts, and we'll talk more about that. But you don't want to have that showing on someone who has not had the information merged in. So have the non-personalized option available if you're going to be going outside of like an email distribution list for people to answer your survey.
Yeah, that's a great thing. And one other thing too is, how do we know? And I know this will be interwoven throughout the conversation, but just as a general rule, how do we know when too much is too much with personally identifiable information, with privacy, with a certain social media platform happens to be the biggest in the world? We won't mention any names. Their initials are FB, and they're recently under fire again about privacy concerns.
Yeah.
And how do we just kind of, where's the line? How do we, do as much personalization as we can without stepping over it reasonably?
I think you've got to know your customer, and you've got to have that trust with your customer. And I would imagine that a lot of businesses know what kind of trust level they have with their customers, and if it feels like to you, if you were taking this survey and you were going to get creeped out by how much information is getting piped in,
right,
don't do it. That's your big red flag. If you yourself are feeling like maybe you're pushing the envelope just a little bit with how much you're personalizing this, then take a step back.
Maybe pull back a little bit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Keep this method, keep it short and simple when necessary.
Right.
Don't overdo it. Less is more sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Great. Yeah. Just a quick pause here. I've seen the number of attendees tick up here in the last about 2 minutes. So if you missed the initial announcements, yes, we will be providing. If there's a question, we will be providing a copy of the webinar to attendees. So you'll get a recording. And remember that's being used, but that question module, make sure you send us your questions throughout at any point, and we'll get to them when we can. So make sure we want this to be as interactive and engaging, and make sure we get your questions answered as possible. So
yes,
great.
Yes.
All right.
All right, so we've talked content first, personalize next, and then we do our customization. So customization, as we're talking about it today, is putting those final touches, making the really cool brand experience for your audience. Do that last. And make sure that as you're putting all of those final touches on, you're continually testing. Make sure that you just keep testing that survey yourself. Have whoever is working with you on that survey do that testing as well, and test on various devices if you're planning on having other devices access the survey. Make sure that you do all that testing. And we're going to do some cool stuff with customization. We're going to have a couple levels of customization where we have just using the themes that are preloaded in QuestionPro, tweaking those themes a little bit to match your brand, as well as doing full CSS. And when you get into that full CSS mode, that's when you really need to be testing to make sure everything is working across the devices.
Right, right. So we're going to tie in a lot of different features. This is not about one particular feature. This is about features across QuestionPro that you can use to personalize and customize.
Yep.
So this is going to be good stuff.
Yep.
All right.
Shall we dive in?
Let's do it.
All right. I always like having the slide to remind me to dive into QuestionPro. All right. So let's start with a basic survey. Okay? I'm calling this the impersonal purchase CSAT. CSAT is short for customer satisfaction. And here we've put together a quick survey. It's not very long. We're asking people for a bit of information about their purchase experience purchasing a smartphone. You'll see that a couple of other best practices that we've included here. We've said up front that if they complete the questionnaire, they're going to have a chance at a reward, their $25 gift card that we're going to provide. And we also give them a bit of information about what the survey is asking for. So we said you've had a recent purchase, you've had your phone a while, now we want to know how things are going. So this is the non-personalized version. This is our base. So we're asking them what phone they recently purchased. We have that information, but because we're not using it personalization yet, we have to ask them for that information. Do you still use your phone at least once a day? What features of your phone do you like most? Tell us how happy you are with the phone itself. And how much did you pay for your phone? Level of satisfaction with the price of the phone. And then if you're interested in having this gift card, or at least being put into the drawing for it, please include your information. So you'll see pretty basic survey, getting some general customer satisfaction information about their phone. Let's take a look at what this looks like live. So you'll see we have...
Let's just cover too, because a question came in, is it possible to copy and paste from Word? And just as we're building our survey here, this initial phase, yes, you can copy and paste from Word. You can import from a Word document, so you can definitely start with an existing offline electronic version of your questions and answers and then be able to get those into QuestionPro via one of those two methods really easily.
Yep. All right, so we've got our phone here. Just to show you, this is just a basic survey. Nothing too fancy about it. This is also a basic theme that's already preloaded. So we have a few things here. So you'll see, not a bad experience, right? It's a pretty straightforward deal here. And we'll get through here at our last, and there we go. There's our thank you page. All right, so that's our non-personalized version. Now, let's take a look at adding some personalization.
Okay, this is level 2 of the personalization phase of this, where we're going to get some more.
Exactly.
Some in here, actually. So that was the non-personalized. Here we go with personalized. Okay.
Yep. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do when we personalize our survey is we're going to take a look at the Excel file that we have that stores all of the information for custom variables. Let me pull up that Excel file. We're going to go to our Send Survey tab, and then we're actually going to create an email list from that Excel file.
Okay, so here we're distributing via email, okay.
Yep. So we'll click Manage Email Lists, create a new list, and here we're going to create this list. You have the option of making it survey specific or global. We're going to make it a global list because we might want to follow up with these same customers later with a different survey.
Sure.
And now we're going to upload this file. So we have a few ways that we can upload. We can upload just the email address, first name, last name. We're actually going to select this email address field 1, field 2, because there are a few of these fields that we want to incorporate in our survey. And if you use just first name, last name, that information can only be used in the invitation. If you want to use their first name and last name in the survey, be sure to select this field 1, field 2 version.
Perfect, perfect.
So we'll select that. We'll go choose our file.
As you're doing this, we're getting some great questions coming in. Can we import from a PDF? You could convert the PDF to a Word document and then add the necessary tags that we would need to see in the Word document to upload that directly. Or most PDFs you can copy and paste from, so you could also do the manual copy and paste. But we do need we have a template actually that you can download, a proprietary Word template to be able to make sure the fields fill in where they need to. So there would be one extra step if you were doing it from a PDF. And one more question I'll answer real quickly here while you're uploading that. Sure. Is there any direct link from any CRM? Yes, so that's a great question. We have a Salesforce integration done. So if you're using Salesforce, that piece is in place. And also, QuestionPro has a public API. So if your development team wanted to go through the integration process so you could have a custom integration, that certainly is an option as well. And we'll give you some great resources to be able to get more information about that. You can go on to chat anytime and ask about that. You can contact your account rep, and you can also just sign up for a demo, and we can just show you what that would look like as well. So, and we'll definitely get those resources to you also. So yes, you can integrate directly with your CRM, and Salesforce is already done out of the box.
Yep. Cool.
Okay, so we're looking at our email list here.
All right, so we have our email list. You'll see I have email address as my first column, and then I have first name, last name, and here I have when they purchased a phone, what phone they purchased, and the amount that they purchased the phone for. And then I've reiterated the email address list because you saw at the very end we were asking for contact information, and
right.
Email address was part of that contact information. I want to be able to pre-fill those fields with the contact information I currently have on file for them. So for me to do that, I need to have this contact information again.
And this, I know you mentioned this as a best practice to be able to not ask for more information than we need or information that we already have. We hear that throughout the market research industry as well. So this is a big one. It's a very little thing. You already have the information. You don't have to have a CRM integration. You can export it out of your CRM and import it in here. It's great if you do have the CRM integration, but you can get around that just to provide that extra little piece of personalization where you're not asking for something you already have.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's our Excel file. One tip I want to put in here for you. If you're using something like a date, be sure that it's a text instead of in Excel. The date format actually always has a timestamp associated with it. Did a little playing around with it. Make sure that it's text as your data type. Same thing goes for if you're using amounts of currency. But a good idea is to use the currency value or the currency sign in front of the amount and make sure that it is also text. Otherwise, it kind of imports funny. So those are our tips for you. So we've imported this information. You saw that we had that information. Those are custom variables. Let me go back to this real quick. So email address. Field 1 is first name. Field 2 is last name. Field 3 is purchase date. 4 is the phone. 5 is the purchase amount. And then 6 is the email address. So it's important to remember because we're going to need those numbers as we are putting in that custom information.
Notice just to reiterate, she didn't count column 1. She started with column 2.
Exactly. All right.
As far as the custom.
Yeah. Yep. So now let's go into the survey itself and let's put in these custom variables. All right, so the first question we added to our initial survey is, for the purpose of the survey, please enter the name you like to go by. I was taking a survey that did this a while ago. I loved it. I loved it because then it totally automatically personalized it for me. So you ask them, now we want to pipe this information into the rest of our survey. So once you've created this, we're going to go to Logic. And piping is in the same area as our branching skip logic. So, and there's a reason for that. The reason is you need to select where you are branching to. So have your questions ready. So we're branching to this next question. We have a default destination, which is if someone didn't trigger any kind of branching, where should it go next? So we've set that default destination. And then we have selected custom variable 7. Remember, I went 1 through 6 for the variables I already had. So we know 7 is an empty field. And so I'm selecting that to pipe the information in. And then that information that I want to pipe in is what the person wrote. Now, I can also do this for asking them what phone they purchased and pipe that information in, and I would type in the name of the phone that I want to associate with this variable. Otherwise, as an open-ended text, they put in their text, I leave this field blank, and it will use their text to populate that custom variable.
Okay, so can we just real quick time out?
Yep.
We're going to get into this area where we're covering a lot of things. So remember, you get the recorded video, but ask any questions that you have. We have 24-hour live support that can help you answer any of these things if you get stuck on some of this, because we are combining a lot of different features here, including just in this we're combining custom variables and logic, so all in one. So if you get lost, don't panic. We have a lot of resources for you to make sure that that you're able to do this for your own surveys. And this is not a sales seminar. This is a user training seminar. So ask those questions, and we'll make sure that we get you back up to speed.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so we'll save that logic. And now you'll see in my next question, here is how I call out the custom variable. I'm going to call it out using $, curly bracket, the name of the custom variable, which in this case is custom 7, and then close curly bracket. So anytime that you have a custom variable that you're wanting to call out, just use that same coding. It's always $, curly bracket. And this is, again, where it's important to be testing. I actually, while I was putting this together, I instead of hitting the curly bracket, hit parentheses. I was testing the survey and suddenly I see this $ parentheses custom 6. And I'm like, what is that? So I had to go back, change it from parentheses to curly bracket, worked like a charm. So
Perfect.
$ curly brackets and put the name of the custom variable in there. So you'll see we've done a little more customization here. We said according to our records, you purchased A. We're piping in the information about what phone they purchased, when they purchased it, and then we ask them, do you still use this phone once a day? So you'll see already from V1 to V2, we're using the information we have.
So if you're distributing your survey via multiple avenues, one thing that Fun Theory started with was the non-personalized survey. Then she cloned that or copied that survey. Then she made the personalization changes. So the benefit here would be maybe I want to send this, also want to post this to my social media platforms where I'm not able to collect from them these custom variables. In that case, I would want to use the non-personalized version so they don't get, because they would basically see this custom 7, which obviously is not what we want them to see. So we want them to see the non-personalized version for those methods. So as a best practice here, when you get all of your survey questions and answers done, now make a copy of it so that you can add these personalization options to that second survey where you are going to be able to upload your list and distribute it that way.
Right, right. And it is possible to have an Excel spreadsheet that has a ton of information, but you only pull in a few of those custom variables into your survey. But the responses and the reports, you will have all of that other custom information associated with each individual from your email list. So just because, like we said before, just because you have it doesn't mean you need to use every single piece of information about that, about your customer in a survey. You can still have it and access it for reporting purposes later on. All right, so we've done a little more customization here. We're using the name that they asked us. Now we did something else here personalization to personalize this. So we've asked them, what features of your phone do you like most? Now we want to get a little more information that they're providing and dig a little bit deeper. So what we've done is we're going to go logic off of our multiple choice question. We're going to choose extraction. And you'll see that we have multiple types of extraction. So extraction means we're taking answers they gave, creating a new question that will only use the answers they gave. We could do reverse extraction, which does the opposite. Takes the answers they didn't select, asks a follow-up question based on the answers they didn't select. So with simple extraction, we're going to extract to a drag and drop. And then we save that logic. And you'll see here, this is a drag and drop question. And now I can add some of my text here at the beginning. If I go edit, then I can add question text. And we're going to say here, please actually we'll say, please rank the items you like best in order of what you like most first. I could have worded that better, but you get the idea. So we're saying that question. So again, we're using the information they're providing, doing a follow-up question. They are now going to see what they already selected. They're going to drag and drop, and we get to see, oh, it's not that they just like this. They really loved maybe the camera on their phone or the call quality on their phone. That was like the one thing that totally knocked it out of the park for them.
Right, great. So, okay, just to recap, we're building our personalization tool set here. So we have custom variables that we've implemented. We have piping that we're using. We have extraction logic also that we're using. So we're getting more and more value out of, or we're providing more and more value based on combining or layering these levels of logic together to get this very personalized experience for the respondent, for the survey taker.
Right. Now, the last thing. Remember that thing that said, if you want a gift card, then go ahead and fill this out. If not, don't fill it out. Now we're actually going to use logic to simply give them the option, are you interested or not? And if they are, we branch them, we continue on. And if they're not, we branch them to the thank you page. They still completed the survey. We still want their information, but they don't need to see the please update your contact information.
And this is great. This is often a best practice that you cover when you're asking for personally identifiable information. Let them know why. give them an ability to opt out, but you still may want all of that great data that you just collected. So a great way to do that is to make that optional at the end. You could even put it in your introduction or your invite to let them know that we'll ask you for this if you want to participate in the, if you'd like the gift card. If not, then we don't need that information kind of thing. So great way to keep privacy as a priority.
Yep. So we did this yes, no here, and to branch, we just used the little arrow on the side. You click the arrow, you'll see we have a quick and easy branch to option. So we selected where we're going to branch them to, we save that, and then we also branch the no to the thank you page. So really easy to do that branching, put it in there. Now the last thing, I talked about we're going to pre-fill the information that we have about them. So we've created one text, open-ended text that has 3 different parts to it, first name, last name, and email. We're going to go in Edit, and we're going to go Settings. And here you're actually going to see Advanced Settings. So once I click Advanced Settings, now I can data pre-population, select the custom variable that's going to pre-populate that field. So if I have the information, it'll pre-populate it. If it doesn't, it will still be blank. But again, we're using the information. We're just asking them to review the information we have on file for them. And this is where I have that custom variable 6, which was our email address, that is going to pre-populate in there. So then I save that question. All right, so we've done lots of personalization.
Yeah, this is personalized.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right, so let's send this out. We're going to send the email invitation. I've created a default template here, or a template 1. I'm selecting my list. We have our survey link, and we also in the invitation itself, we're using custom variables. So again, you have the information, it's there, you can use it for both the invitation and in the survey. So I'm personalizing the invitation. I said, hey, first name, we'd like to ask you about your purchase of A. And here I'm pulling in the information already to say, we know what you purchased, we know when you purchased it, we're just asking about that information as a follow-up. Then we have our...
Just a quick pause. We're going to take a quick break before we move on to customization to answer questions. So if you have a question about personalization, now's a great time to go ahead and send it. We already have a number in the queue, so we will pause before we move on to customization just to make sure we catch up on anybody's questions.
Perfect. All right, so let's send this email. Okay, we've sent it out. Should be coming any moment.
Look at that custom background you have. That's fancy.
Right. All right, there's our survey. So let's take a look at this personalized information. Hey, look, there's my name. Hey. It says I purchased this phone on this date. So cool. Now they're going to follow up with me. We'll start the survey. Let's see. I like to be called Z, so we'll put that in. And as it continues, you'll see that that piping works. It pulled in the thing that I put for using my nickname. And it says, again, you recently purchased this. Do you use it at least once a day? I say, yes. What features do you like? We'll select a couple things here. We can
size isn't good. No, size, okay.
Nah. The phones are getting big.
That's true. The 6 Plus.
All right, according to our records, you paid. And remember that we had that purchase information. We know how much they paid for it. So according to our records, you paid this much for your phone. Please indicate your level of satisfaction with that. So you'll see we've done quite a bit of personalization, and here is our pre-filled information.
Yep.
There's my contact information. If I want a different email address, I can put that in, and it will record that in the report. So it will overwrite whatever the respondent inserts will overwrite the custom variable in your report. So don't worry about that conflict there. So we've got that. We continue, and then we've got our thank you page.
Okay. Great. Well, that was, compared to the first survey, that was a huge amount of personalization where we're seeing the name we got to select used throughout. We all like to hear our name. We have the pre-filled information, so
Yeah.
they don't have to type it if we already have it, which obviously we sent them the email, so they know that we have their email. They're a
Right.
customer of ours. They opted in, so it's reasonable that that we could autofill that. We did a couple of things in the Excel file to make sure that that information piped in correctly.
Yep.
In the currency field and also in the date field. So we had those in place, and we got all that personalized experience there. Compared to the first survey, which had no personalization, all kinds of great stuff going in about this one.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of information that they just didn't have to provide because we provided it for them.
Right.
Great. All right. Well, let's take a quick break and jump into some questions if we can.
Yeah, let's.
All right. So let's see. Okay. Instead of custom 1, 2, 3, etc., if you had headers in your email file, could you use the name of the custom variable? Thanks, Eric, for that question.
Yes, absolutely. So you saw perhaps as I was uploading that Excel file that there was a little button at the bottom that said skip header row. I can have header rows, and then I'll show you exactly where you can map the custom variables. So we'll go more and custom variable mapping. And
right,
here,
we were only dealing with 6 custom variables, but if we had a longer list, this would make a lot of sense.
Yep. So then I can select the variable. So we'll select one. I can make the display name first name. So the display name is what will show up in the report. And the code is then, instead of having to do that $ curly bracket custom 1, I can do $ curly bracket and whatever code I would like to assign this. So then it's easier for me or other people who are working on the survey to see, oh, it's first name or last name, etc. So yes, you absolutely can map that.
Great. All right. Let's say, so here's a zinger. Justin, thanks for this question. If a person had purchased 2 phones, can they add the second phone as a new custom field? I assume that Excel would have 2 entries, and I modify one record and delete the second record. Are you totally understanding that question?
Yes and no.
Okay, so if they purchased 2 phones, so you have potentially 2 pieces of data that you're piping in here right now. We're asking, you purchased the iPhone 5S, is that correct? What if they had purchased 2 things?
Right. So if you know that they purchased 2 things, you can actually have in Excel, you were right, you can have 2 different columns in Excel, one that says phone 1, for example, one that says phone 2. And some people might not have that phone 2, some might. You can create questions, you can branch them so you know if they had a phone 2 to call it out in the survey. And you would simply have, let's say we use that as custom variables 3 and 4, and then you call that out. We notice that you purchased a custom 3 and a custom 4, and you're pulling that information into the invitation, into the survey, and you can certainly do it that way.
Right.
You can also do what we did, and similar to what we did at the end, you can have text fields that say, we see that you purchased, and it fills in the text fields with the pre-filling with the information of what phones they purchased, and then you can have them say, is this correct? If not, delete the phone that you no longer own, and then you can just keep going on from there. So a couple different options on how you could approach that.
Okay. Great. We're going to have to we'll answer one more, but it's already at 10:30, so we want to keep cranking through this. So if you don't get an answer to your question now, we'll definitely follow up afterwards. So we'll make sure you get answers, and we'll give you some resources for additional help and support too. So we're not abandoning you. We want to keep to our commitment of timeline here, so we're going to move forward. But one more question. In your example of extraction to ranking, would your report stats be based on the total list for percentages or frequencies and not just the extracted choices?
So in the report, you would actually get 2 different charts. The first would have a chart based on this question, your multiple choice question, and it would show which of these were selected the most. And then the next chart would be it would have all of these, and then it would show which one got ranked most, got ranked highest most often, if that makes sense. So you would have all of the options, and then you would also see, let's say screen resolution was a thing that was selected over and over, and it was also selected as their number one thing that they liked most. It would show that in the report.
Okay. And then if that wasn't quite what you were going for, let us know and we'll follow up afterwards. Well, one more question before we move on to customization, and this is a great one. Can you use custom variable in the URL to pre-populate information? Great.
Yes, you can. So to do that, let me show you what that would look like. You would take your live survey link. We'll open a new tab so that I can show this better. You would simply add question mark, and then you would have the name of the custom variable, let's say custom1 equals. You put in the Bubba Jones, put in the information you want for that custom1, and then you can do, if you want a string of them, you can just ampersand custom2 equals, etc. So yes, you can do that.
And I believe on this too, you want to use the custom1, not the code that you created. You want to use the custom1, 2, 3. You want to use the number associated with that one.
Right.
Okay.
But yes, in fact, this is a great way if you are doing social media. You can have different URLs that custom1 equals Facebook, custom1 equals Twitter, custom1 equals LinkedIn. And then in your report, you can filter on that to see how people were answering your survey.
Yes, good stuff, whiz-bang stuff.
Yep.
Okay, so I think we probably need to keep moving. But thank you for all the questions. If we didn't get to it, like I said, we'll follow up afterwards. And if you have customization questions as we move through this, please get them into the Q&A module. We'll answer as many as we can.
Yep. All right. So we did our personalization. Now it's time to customize this thing, putting on our final touches. So let me show you how you copy a survey in QuestionPro to do that. First thing you do is you go to Options, then you go Copy, you put in the name, and then you can select a folder. If you have multiple folders, you can add a new folder, but you'll see it's that easy. We copy the survey, and when you do this, it does copy all of the logic. So it's not going to strip everything down. It's going to be a copy of your survey as you had it. And this also is a benefit of using the global list instead of a survey-specific list, because then that list is still available to me to use on this survey.
Ah, yes. Okay.
All right, so let's take a look at this survey. Let's do a little, so this is our basic customization. We can go in, we can add it.
Just to clarify, we have all the personalization items copied into this one, and now we're doing phase 1 of customization. Okay,
exactly. Great. Yep. So first thing we can do, we can customize our title and logo. So let's say this is on behalf of, this is QuestionPro doing a survey. I can upload images here, drag and drop them. I can always go in and actually select it. Yep. And then I see a preview of that image here, and then I can add my title, so purchase satisfaction. And I can do a little bit of customizing here with this as well. We're going to center justify that. I can change the font. I can change the color. We'll save those changes. So we've already put in a title and a logo. So we've customized a little bit already. Now I want to customize a little bit more. I can change the theme here. So we have a fair number of standard themes. We have all white. We have different colors, and you'll see the background as well. So we have a lot of different themes that you can already use. But if you want and you have specific hex numbers, I know in previous roles that I have had, there were specific colors used for my organization.
We have guidelines, sure.
Yep. You can go in, you just delete that, and you can put in your specific color. So it's easy as that. And what I love here is you also get a preview, quick preview of what your survey is going to look like. So,
that's great. So you can start with the standard themes and then just customize from there.
Exactly. So we'll select a different font. You see there are 3 different fonts available here, different font sizes, title bars. You can also change your answer hover option to one of these 4. We'll change the button to match. So there we go. We've done a bit of customization to match more with our brand. I'm going to save that and take a look at the preview. And you'll see this is, for those familiar with the HTML term WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get. I changed that up here. It's already changed so I can see a little snapshot of what it's going to look like for my customers when they look at it. So let's go preview. And you'll see now I have updated this. There's my logo. There's my title. There's all this information. And I have a different background, different color for the buttons. So now it's flowing more. It looks a lot more like it's my brand on this survey. So that's customization simplified, I guess you could say.
All right. Phase one.
Phase one of customization.
All right. So let's cover a couple of quick questions here before we move on to phase two. Can I color all text elements at once versus question by question?
Yes, and we'll talk about that as we talk about full CSS control.
Okay, and is it possible to use a specific font, i.e. our corporate part of our brand guidelines, our corporate font, our specific font?
Again, CSS control.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, we're going to go into our surveys. I have copied this previously. We have our CSS version here. All right, a few things right off the bat. You'll see we have more images in here, and you'll also see that it looks like I have absolutely zero text. There's a reason. If I click here, you'll see that there's my text. My CSS that I have uploaded here, let me show you where that would happen. We go Customize Theme, Full CSS Control.
And as you mentioned, it's a what you see is what you get editor, so we're actually seeing some components of this CSS applied.
Yes. So you'll see here we have quite an exhaustive CSS. You can go in. If you are familiar with CSS, it is actually pretty easy to see which of these are affected. They're named pretty straightforward. You can go in, you can play around with it, do what you want to your heart's content for that full CSS control.
And just in case, CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Yep. A way to style your HTML, which determines how the page looks when it's rendered for the respondent, for the user. So you certainly don't have to create this from scratch. You can start with an existing theme and customize from there and change everything like you'll see that we've done, or you can change just specific components like the specific font that is part of your corporate guidelines, that kind of thing. So.
Yep. All right, so let's go ahead and save here. And let's take a look at why all of our text is white because of our background. So let's go preview this. And there we go, full CSS treatment. You'll see a lot of changes here. First of all, our white text. Second,
what hasn't changed?
Right, what hasn't changed. Second, you'll see that we've changed even the color for the continue button and the font for that continue button. We've changed the treatment of our exit survey button. There's a lot that has changed here. We'll continue. So now you see all of this stuff is still changed. And this is what it looks like for full CSS control. This is
just because we're just looking at the live preview link as opposed to
actually sending it out. Right. So this is, remember when we were talking about how that non-personalized version, so you avoid this? Right. This is why. But this is a great way to test it.
Fully customized but not personalized for this particular scenario.
Yep. Yep. So again, a full CSS control, this now totally looks like and feels like something from the company and has their full CSS treatment. So you saw the big difference between just using the themes, which still can give us a really great brand feel. And then if you want to take it the next level, it's that custom CSS where you change all of that stuff, your font color, font styles, all of it, to have a fully integrated brand experience for your respondents.
Right, right. Now, one of the first things we saw was that opening screen, and it had that humongous image, that one.
Yes.
So what's that going to look like on a smartphone?
That's a great question. that is something you would totally want to test. So this is one of those reasons that I said earlier, when you're doing full CSS, it can look really splashy on your on a laptop or on a desktop, but you want to check on a tablet, on a mobile device, on a smartphone. Check it on all different sizes. If you know, especially if you know that that's how your audience is interacting with you, make sure that you are testing on those devices.
Right.
So test
one of the
it out.
follow-up things I meant to mention in the beginning was we'll send you a copy of this survey. All attendees will get in the wrap-up email. We'll send you a copy of it so you can take a look at it from the user perspective.
Yep.
And so you'll be able to see that we added in our CSS, we added code to be able to make this look great on mobile too. So because you have this control, you can also optimize this for mobile. One of the reasons that Fun Theory mentioned in the very beginning was a best practice was test, test, test. So want to make sure that we have all that covered.
Yep. And the last thing that we can do, we do have white label available, white label version of QuestionPro available for those corporate accounts that are interested in even having the URL customized. So there are two levels of customization here. One is you can actually customize this URL so that it's something like smartphonepurchase.questionpro.com. You can also, with the white label version of QuestionPro, you can have the link changed so it doesn't say QuestionPro, it has your organization. It's still our software, but it's your organization's stamp on that URL.
For example, yoursurveys.yourdomain.com/smartphone.
Yep.
Or, whatever. Yep.
Yep.
Yep, definitely. We have a few great questions about, and are we wrapping up at 10:45? Is this a 45-minute session?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're going to answer some questions. If you need to log off, we totally understand, but we want to make sure we get these. So if you'd like to stick around to either ask a question and get it answered or hear the answers to some of these other questions, which seem relevant because we're getting a lot of similar questions asked. And I'm going to combine a couple here really quickly, but if you want to stick around, love to have you. And just as a mention, can we switch over really quickly in case anybody does drop? I want to make sure they have this information to the wrap-up slide here because I want to make sure you have resources. So remember, 24-hour live chat support. If you have a question, just jump on to questionpro.com/help, or on the site you'll see the links for live chat, and you can ask those questions via live chat. Yep. Also, just the support center has a huge number of help files, many of which cover these topics that we're discussing today. So please use that. And we're crossing all license levels today. So if you don't have some of these features in your current license level and you want to see how they work, go to 1v1demo.questionpro.com, sign up for a tour of these features. You can see specifically what you want to see. It's not a canned tour. It's the specific demos of the features that you want to see. So use that. It's a great resource. Let us know right in here if you want your account rep to follow up, and we'll make sure we'll get them in touch with you. We want to make sure that you can use and apply these things. It has a huge impact on your response rates, on the quality of data that you collect, on your ability to make smarter decisions. So please help us help you by using our available help options.
Yeah.
All right. So a couple of extra questions for those of you that want to stick around and hear them. We had a few questions about organization level control of branding options. What can an organization do? Maybe some best practices or features that would help to try to use these customization and personalization options throughout more than just one survey.
Perfect. So I don't know if you saw, when I went to customize theme, I had standard themes, and one of them that was available was an organization theme. So if you can have sub-accounts, a main account and sub-accounts as one of the license levels. We have that option. And if you do that, then you, as the main account holder, that main account holder can create that custom theme, has the font, has the colors, save it as an organization theme. And that way it's available to all accounts. It's available to the sub-accounts. And that's a great way of being able to exercise that control over your brand experience by saying, hey guys, here's the organization theme. Any survey you create has to have this theme on it. It's right there, done. Just use it.
Great. Robin, I'm so sorry. I didn't think to have a smartphone preview actually on the screen. Bad marketer. I should have thought about that. But if you create one of these, you can just use that same live preview link and view it on a smartphone. I usually email it to myself or save it in Evernote or something like that so that I can view it from my smartphone as well and pull it up that way.
Yep.
Are you going to hold up your phone to the
I'm going to
camera?
try to bring it up while you're working on questions.
Okay. Okay, good. Let's see. Cover default. Customize a theme. Is it saved in the specific survey or globally? Correct me if I'm wrong, Zia, but I believe it's saved for that particular survey. But you could apply that in your organization theme, which would be a way to work around that if you have that, or just copy a survey. Do the basic CSS customization before, if you wanted to kind of flip the order, before you add your questions and answers, and then just copy that so you're always working from that basic survey. Or you saw how quickly it was if you have it saved in a notepad document or something, the CSS that you want to customize, and then just paste it into your full CSS control dialog box there.
Right.
So thanks, George. Appreciate you joining us. Thanks for mentioning. George liked the demo. That was great. Let's see. Tell me when you're ready to show that, but I'm going to scoot back up to the top here where I skipped a few things.
Go for it. I'm trying to bring this up.
Let's see. You use Custom 1 and not Custom 7 at the invite stage. You don't have Custom 7, right? I think that we entered Custom 7 prior to the invite stage, didn't we? That was when we were showing the logic that we were doing on the actual question.
So Custom 7 was the custom variable that was used for the piping answer. So that's
how we want it to be referred to during the survey.
Yes.
Right. Yep, so that was correct. In the invite, that was custom 1.
Yeah.
Yep. Traitram says, sorry I missed it, but why the $sign? $sign's part of pulling in that custom variable. $sign, open curly bracket, custom variable or code, close curly bracket is what will pull the custom variable onto the survey question or answer.
Right.
So that's what that was from. Let's see. Can we set automatic reminder emails to go out? Pam wants to set automatic reminder emails.
Yes. Let me show you where that would happen.
Thanks to everybody who's hanging on. We still have more than half of the people who have attended are still hanging on, so that's great.
Awesome.
If you have another question, throw it out there real quick. We'll try to get to it.
Okay, so let me go to the copy that was personalized. Here, our personalized CSAT, because I want to show you what this would look like. So we have our sent items. We click there. Right on the end of our sent items, you'll see I've sent this to 2 different lists. I can send a reminder to each of the different lists. And because I use the tracking code or the tracking URL, we have an anonymous URL and then we have a tracking URL. We default to that tracking URL, and that means that I can send a reminder only to those people who did not take the survey. So if I click email reminder, I can actually schedule it. So within 5 minutes of actually sending the survey, I can go back in here, schedule a reminder to go maybe in a week, week and a half, for them to remind to those people who have not yet taken the survey to take it, or I can always go in and send reminder now. And I can select the template, select who it's going to go to, all of that same stuff as we saw earlier with sending the email invitation. So that's reminders.
Okay, great. Do you want to show I have a couple more questions, but do you want to show the mobile?
So the mobile I have is not the fully, I did not do an email invitation for our full CSS mobile. I forgot that.
Okay, so we do have some examples here. How about you take the next couple of questions, because they're more at your pay grade here, and then I'll look at I'll do this.
All right, so we have here The customized URL where you have the question mark. So we created the URL, put the question mark, put custom variable equals, and put that information in. It says, what's the point of the custom URL? What does it look like to the user? Is it mainly for the survey administrator for analysis? So that custom URL is going to show up the way that we typed it in for the user. It doesn't do anything to the survey experience. They'll still have that great survey experience. But what it does for the survey administrators, it is for analysis. So like I said, you can have this a non-personalized survey. You put custom one equals your social media outlet that you're sharing on. That's the URL you use for the social media. Let's say your Facebook post, you would have URL and then question mark custom one equals Facebook. Anyone who takes that survey is going to record that custom one equals Facebook in your report. And then you can go in, filter by custom variables, custom one equals Facebook, and then you just see the responses that came in via Facebook. So that's the point of appending that information to the end of the URL, is to have that available for analysis. And then we also have what kind of reports do we get? Are there automatic actions possible to launch depending on some of the answers? Yes, absolutely there are. We do have things that are called action alerts that are based on survey responses and reports. In fact, in another 5 minutes, we actually have our free training, a regular free training session. It is all about reporting. If you want to sign up for that and attend that, it is QuestionPro.com/webinar. Select the 4th week reporting, and that's what we're going to be talking about in another few minutes. But yes,
I completely lost track of time. Yes, we do need to wrap up to start that next training session. So if we could show the thanks for attending slide one more time.
Yes.
The electronic version as opposed to this, what I'm trying to get to center on my screen there.
There we go.
Show that one more time. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Please join us. Monthly, we have a special training session where we cover things at this level. Weekly, we have training on different topics where we cover just about everything you need to know at a little bit of a higher level, but just about every category of overview to sending to reporting to logic throughout the month. Every month we cover all those topics. And so please join us again. QuestionPro.com/webinar to sign up for those. You can sign up for all of them right there. And
in fact, I'm going to put the URL right now into the chat. Perfect. So everyone will be able to see the URL for signing up for the monthly training. We'll also include that URL. So, I mean, we do this every month.
In the wrap-up,
yep. Yep, you'll have the URL.
And then, so remember, you'll get a copy of the recording. With any questions, you can find out. You can either self-help or live chat. QuestionPro.com/help. And if you want to see any of these features that you don't currently have access to, 1v1demo.questionpro.com. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, Thantiri Johnson, Community Manager for QuestionPro, and hopefully we'll see you in just a few minutes for the next training session.
All right.
All right.